Hello, my name is Terrell Jerricks. I am the editor of Random Links News, and with us today is a 65th District candidate, Magali Sanchez-Hall. Um, Magali is a longtime 65th District resident and community advocate. She is the founder and executive director of Emerge, an organization involved in clean air, anti-pollution, and environmental justice campaigns in Southern California. Her campaign for the Assembly District seat emphasizes affordable housing, strong public schools, small business support, and public safety through prevention and accountability. She promotes coalition building with labor, parents, and grassroots groups to ensure families have a voice in state policy making. Is there anything more you would like to add, Magali?
I think you hit it right on the dot. Yes.
I think one of the questions that came to my mind looking at your resume was an interview I did with the late great Jesse Marquez before he passed away. Uh, and during that interview, he said the war over the ports and the air pollution, no, that was won. We won that war. The war now is over implementation. And we have a new generation of activists who are willing and able to take on that fight. And I get the feeling that Jesse may have been talking about you. Uh, can you tell us a little bit about that work you've been doing over the past, I want to say 10 years, with your organization Emerge?
Yes, definitely. It's emerge in
Imagine.
Spanish. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you
Yes.
for correcting me.
Yeah, and there's a reason because it's a scientific process when the plant or the root is hitting the air, right? Or it's coming out of the ground, and it turns green. So that's emerge. It's
Mm.
And yes, so he might have been talking about me because I've been part of fighting the good fight without really having any organization that I was working for. Everything was volunteer. My passion is always to help others. So and when he brought me on board, because he did bring me on board, he wanted me to work with him. He explained to me all the challenges we were facing, specifically Wilmington,
Hmm.
right? And how a lot of the people that leave Wilmington and come back, they don't really go into the fields of the environmental justice.
Mm.
And I think he probably was talking about me. We were part of the AB 617 together. Uh, we were working with the youth as well.
Hmm.
We were trying to find ways that we can not only be part of the policy making and the regulations, but also how to implement them. And until now, everything that we have worked since this administration came in, it had set us back. And I believe that implementation is key.
Mm.
So that's one of the many reasons why I'm running.
Hmm. And the other aspect of that, though, is labor. Uh, Over the past 15, 20 years, there's been this effort to make sure that labor and environmental justice are working in lockstep with each other. And they're not enemies of each other. That's the bottom line. But what are your thoughts about making that even more clear and creating the bonds between labor and environmental justice as not mutually exclusive aims?
Right. So I'm working with the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator right now in a project, and also with Los Angeles Harbor College, where we're trying to create curriculum for these green jobs and this green economy that is coming. We're trying to create a pathway to transition for those who work in the industries that are going to transition,
Hmm.
right? Making sure that all the contracts that are coming into this area, because we do have a lot of funding that is going to come
Mm.
to clean the port, to clean, reduce emissions, and that we hit the targets of the 100 renewable energy by 2045.
Hmm.
So in that process, I am already speaking with some of the union leaders. We're already talking about how that looks. And the challenge also here is those that are working in good paying jobs, that we get them to transition also to those good paying jobs.
Hmm.
But we got to start now. because it is a process to get those certifications. They can go into the building of the green building management, or they can go into the green economy through the Port of Los Angeles. Right now, we have the Clean Ports funding that is coming in. It's not a lot, but this is something that I worked together with Jesse. We went to Washington, D.C., make sure we spoke to Administrator Regan, who is the head of the EPA, to make sure that we got this funding coming in for the clean ports. And we got it. So right now it's how do we pass this information along to all the labor unions? And I'm sitting at the table and I'm making sure that I'm saying, you know what? I understand, you have a mortgage, you have payments, you have a quality of life that you want to maintain. So let's find a way to maintain that, your salary, your benefits, everything, because we have to do that.
Right.
So I believe that we're going to get there. It's just that it's coming so fast, and the transition that was going to happen before this administration came in, it slowed down. So we're still trying to figure it out. But that is something that I want to work. And contracts that come to the district, the 65 district, they're going to have an agreement that probably about 30% have to be local hire.
And as the 65th Assembly District representative, how do you plan on maybe using your connections, the work you've been doing, translate into the work you could be doing as a 65th Assembly District representative?
So it's very important to know that policy, it's made, I don't like to say from the top to the bottom, but that's how it is. It's a very few in Sacramento that are legislative with interest groups, right?
Right.
And they're making decisions. So policy comes from the top to the bottom, and then the bottom then receives the policy. So my approach is something that I created and I believe strongly. It's the reverse engineer community engagement, which I developed for the LA 100 equity strategies for the Department of Los Angeles Water and Power, and also for the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, which I created something completely groundbreaking that no one has done before, and I piloted in the Wilmington case study. And what I did is that I created a process where the community is leading everything from the beginning. They're setting up the rules. They're setting up the everything that is about what matters to the community in real time, right? So, and then you develop as what they're asking and they're carrying. Then you develop information to bring it and simplify it, because you also have to come to the language of the people. Then the community tells you, then you bring it up to academia, you bring it back to the government, and then you go back and forward doing that process until you find a policy, a way to write policy that will have a direct impact and lead by the people, not by me or anyone else. So it is called a reverse engineer community engagement. It's a long 1-year process. I was able to build that from the ancestral practices of our indigenous people, which is in consensus, moving in consensus. Everybody has to agree. Otherwise, if one says no, we go back to the table. So, and the other one that I included is the Paulo Freire, to teach with love. And also I brought the process of, it's called conflict resolution. I brought those three and I put it together, and it worked really well. And the recommendations were given to DWP. And at the same time, I was working in motion, meaning that I was able to tap into a $4 million grant, community grants from the federal government through Nanette Barragan, our congresswoman, and we applied and we got it. It was through a policy also, through the subcommittee appropriations. It went into a policy, passed the Congress, passed the Senate, and then it went to President Biden, which he signed it, and it became policy which
I know that's right.
allocated $4 million to our community for green jobs, workforce development.
I know that's right. And so that kind of leads me to my question about healthcare. We have an administration right now is trying to take that from us. We have an administration that's trying to put the whole onus on that on states. Fortunately for us, we live in California, where we might be more able to sort of shoulder that burden more so than other places, but it's still a burden. What are your thoughts about the way forward in this moment right now, dealing with those kinds of challenges?
Well, I believe California, we need to really do a reevaluation of our healthcare system, how it's running, who's running it, who manages, how basically some industries are being created and not to sometimes serve the patient, but to serve the pockets, right? Or
Right.
revenues.
Right.
So I believe that we have to really create something new. We are in different times. We're not in as usual times. This is something really, really, it's a critical moment that we need to create something new. Because what we had, we have to put it on the side. We cannot amend based on the conditions that we're in under this administration. We cannot fix what already exists. We need to be creative. And that's where I think I come in. I have a policy degree, which is very much into the quantitative, data and all of that. But I also know how to write policy. So it's not like somebody else will be doing it for me. I will be doing it myself with the team, of course. But in that process, I will try not to repeat what it already exists, but to bring something new and fresh that we can then say, we don't need the federal government, and we can create something new at the state level that we can tap into the budget.
Are you interested in a universal health care for all Californians?
I am.
Okay.
Definitely.
I would imagine in whatever policy you're looking at, we'll be looking at how to universally cover Californians. Gotcha. What are your thoughts about addressing cost of living and the affordability crisis that we're dealing with right now in this moment?
And that's something that we should have done long time ago. Okay, I remember when I went to DC, DC, but before that I went to Sacramento. And back then, Holly Mitchell was an assemblywoman, and she was in charge of the health and welfare she was in the committee. And she brought me to speak about, why we needed to protect these programs that, that helped us, single moms like me, that I was in CalWorks and medical and also in food stamps, that was my safety net. But I always question, why is it that I'm not getting enough to pay for rent? And I still have to work, but I still have to go to school to qualify for CalWorks. It didn't make sense. So I'm getting $638 for children and me a month, cash, right? And those days my rent was $700, so I still needed to go work. So it turns out that the cost of livings were completely off. They were not adjusted. And I don't believe the cost of living had been adjusted to the reality that we live in. And that's one of my priorities, is to go up there, and they call it the COLAs, right? So to go up there and say, okay, this is how the cost of living, this is what it looks like. This is what in reality it is. And it depends also on the city that you're living in. But California, the whole state, has become unaffordable for people like me, even with a degree. And imagine for people, when I came to this country, we lived in a very small place with many people because we couldn't afford to have our own apartment.
Mm.
And that's how we still are at this moment. But even with people that have a job, or two people work at the same house, they still cannot afford housing. They cannot afford to have healthy food. It's so much that we need to do. And I wish that once I get there, I can fix those cost of livings and put them to what really they are right now at this time.
Mm-hmm. Education and school funding. I think California at one time, they're probably still better in the nation, but as far as our college system, but it can be so much better.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts about supporting education in California?
I have a plan for that.
Okay.
So you remember Assembly Member Warren Furutani, he introduced the oil severance tax, and he wanted to fund education completely through that tax. Mm-hmm. Well, it has never happened because the oil industry continues to put lots of money in, making sure that nobody really votes for that type of policy, right? Or that it doesn't pass through the Assembly or through the Senate. Mm-hmm. So what I'm planning to do right now, since this administration is pushing for more oil drilling offshore in the ocean of California, well, if they want to do that, okay, they're going to have to pay a tax, an oil severance tax of 12.5%. With that, in a couple of years, we will have a free school for college, universities, and a little extra. So I'm going to work the numbers once everything, once I win and I get there. That's something that I really want to do. I think we can have free education all the way to PhDs, just like Germany does it.
I would imagine you have not made a whole lot of friends amongst industry.
No.
How many endorsements have you gotten, or have you had anybody that came knocking, or anybody allies come out the woodwork with some deep pockets?
No. I was approached and I was told that I could take some funding from some foundations, but they were funded by the oil industry or the Port of Los Angeles. And I said, no, thank you. And then I was approached also to see if I would take other funding from other sources. And when I checked where the money was coming from interest groups, I said no. The reason why is because I don't want no strings attached. I don't want no one to tell me what can I do or not do, and then if I didn't do what they want, then try to get rid of me in the following, election. So what I really want to be committed and my strings attached is to the voter, not to no one else. See, I believe in the power of people, and I know that the people will lead me, and I will continue doing my reverse engineer community engagement. And once that happens in every area in the District 65, people are going to be telling me, how it's working. We can do evaluations, but together with the people. I don't need, not that I don't need, we don't need no interest groups to be telling us what we can have or not have. We are going to do it on our own, and I hope that will serve as an example for other districts, and also, for other elected officials to follow.
Transportation and infrastructure. There are a lot of things that our district needs, from actual bus lines that are consistent and runs regularly throughout from San Pedro to Watts. Hell, even ideally a train to help transport people. What are your thoughts about transportation in the 65th district?
Well, something that I've been looking into because of what the Green Jobs workforce development, and also because I did the case study for Wilmington, is that we don't have the infrastructure even to shift to renewable energy for electrification, right? And that's a big part of why a lot of people are holding on, even on purchasing a used car, because there is some rebates from some organizations and some government agencies. Not enough.
Right.
Okay, not enough. But why would you want to buy a car that is electrical if you don't have a charging station?
And we have an administration that literally has stopped building them.
Exactly. And there was a lot of money, a lot of money with the Justice 40 initiative that was signed by President Biden as soon as he came in. And, he allocated 40% of the Inflation Reduction Act, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act or law, and then the American Rescue Plan. 40% was supposed to go for environmental projects, for infrastructure too. So that was blocked and it's coming slowly, slowly. But even when it's coming, there is a resistance within the port, for example. There is a lot of money right now for us to turn heavy duty vehicles into electric trucks, right? And they will, reduce emissions at a very, very, high pace. But for some reason, the port, it runs 100% on diesel, and they're not accepting the infrastructure for electrical.
And they actually got a technology. They have A&P technology that ships are supposed to be plugging into, but I don't think now there's a whole lot of pressure to force more ships to plug into that plug-in system, I don't think.
They're not, because I don't know if you've seen what they're doing, right? And I'm going to go after the port. So the port basically is pushing back to whatever we had worked with Jesse. Everything that we had done, right? The what we were looking for, the stationary source rule that was completely eliminated, and they brought a collaborative agreement between the ports and the cities and left completely the community out and left us out from all our work that we had done for many years. So right now, it's like they want to keep what they have. And this, I believe they're not being pressured anymore. The whole agencies and departments that's supposed to be seeking to help us to monitor them, they're not doing it. And why? Because if you look at the structure of how they regulate, they enforce, and they provide permits, it's within the same agency. That's a conflict of interest. I don't know if other people see it like me, but that's what I see. If you're providing a permit and they're paying for it because they pay for it, you're not basically being paid by the government to do an environmental impact report. But the polluter is paying you.
Right.
So meanwhile, you already gave that out. So how are you going to regulate and then enforce in something that you gave permits to? So we're in right now it's like a free playground for all the industries. They're doing whatever they want. And even when you report them, there's no way to continue and follow up with the process of, okay, what is the violation? Can you show me? How much is the fine? Because what they told me is that that's confidential. So if that's affecting me as a resident, why would that be confidential? Does that make sense?
No. I heard you right now. Jobs, wages, and economic opportunity. You talked about it a little bit overall in your earlier conversation. Can you speak more directly to it about what you can probably do from your position if you were elected to be the representative for the 65th Assembly District, how you would address that issue?
Yes, so the way we're doing the certifications and getting the new generations of labor force, the new generation of young kids, getting them ready to come into these jobs, we also have a huge opportunity of making sure that they are building companies, small businesses to manufacture, to maintenance. This is money that usually is spent from people coming from other states or sometimes even from other countries, as we did with the airport. right? Consultants are coming from Spain, and it's a huge revenue that it's taking away from us. I believe that we have very good, capable people, like in Wilmington, San Pedro, Gardena, Compton, North Long Beach, Willowbrook. We have people that are ready to take those jobs, ready to be able to get into small companies so they can do and keep the economic benefit within our communities. And then you create a bigger sustainable economy because you're producing jobs right there, right?
Right.
So why outsource when you can have it here? Why, and then a lot of our youth, for example, I have a project where where we do air quality monitoring with Howard University, and the youth, when they go to good schools, they go to UCLA, they go to USC, they go to other schools, they go to Cal States, and they come back and they don't have no opportunities. And what they do, they start working in the service sector industry, they start working in restaurants, stores. There's nothing wrong with that. But then again, that's knowledge that is being wasted, that can be produced into the economy, into the labor. That's what we need to do. Otherwise, we're going to continue to be just the same way we are, where our kids have to leave in order to get better paying jobs. So we need to build that economy inside. We really have the ability to have this youth that are coming, even get them ready from the age of 9, 10 years old to start processing of what type of jobs are out there. It doesn't mean that they have to go and get a graduate degree. I would love for everyone to do that, because I do think that knowledge, education brings you knowledge.
Yes, yeah.
And that knowledge allows you to process information in a different way. But there's also other, certifications that you can get. Construction as well. If you can get ready for that, we can build what in our communities in District 65, a strong economy and a strong labor for green jobs,
right,
workforce.
Public safety and community stability, immigration. I see them as somewhat linked, particularly in this moment in where we have literally federal law enforcement invading communities across the country. People feel unsafe. And we now more than ever, we have to have neighbors looking after each other. Truly, loving your neighbor in order to protect against these forces that would seek to divide us. And I didn't mean to speak too long on this, but what are your thoughts about law enforcement and making it effective for all communities in California?
Yes, so I don't know if you know, but I was 25 years undocumented in this country. And the minute I received my status, I went to school, to try to get out of poverty, got my GED, and making sure that I can protect my kids and my family. I believe we're not doing enough. Elected officials are not doing enough. We have a agency which is the public safety, which is and to enforce the law, right? And then those are local, mostly. So they're supposed to be protecting us regardless of status. I believe that no one is doing the job to really tell these agencies or institutions of public safety what their job is. I believe that there's not enough knowledge of the Constitution of the United States within that institution of public safety. Because there's not enough knowledge, they tend to do what they are told that they're supposed to do. But if you see how ICE, this agency, was created, and you see what they were meant for, they were never to be police. They were never to be a public safety institution.
Mm-hmm.
It was to do administrative process. And it was within inside the country, not on the borders. That's why we have border patrol, right? So it's like nobody's bringing that information.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's telling the police department or the sheriff that they're not here to allow some other agency to come into their jurisdiction and allow for the criminalization and persecution of the Latinos, Latinas, Latinx people.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally wrong. And I will write policy as soon as I get there, that every public safety and law enforcement has to know the Constitution. And there's different constitutions. You got to remember, there's the local constitution, the state constitution, and the federal constitution. And jurisdictions have to be acknowledged, where they can come in and where they can not come in. So that's not being talked about.
Right.
And I've been sending messages to different Congress members, even to people that are in local offices, and telling them, talk to your chief of police, talk to the your sheriff, because you have a contract with the sheriff. Talk to them. They're not allowed to do A, B, and C, and this is an administrative process. They're not police. When did that change? Did Congress change that? Not to my knowledge. So I am going to write policy as soon as I get there. And I hope that can do something, because it's not going to get any better. They have to fill out all the massive detention centers that they're building because they have investors, as you know. So it's not going to get any better. It's as a matter of fact, we're waiting.
Right.
So
now, you talked about it throughout our interview so far about government accountability, and you even had the term reverse
engineering.
But getting community input where you're seeking it out, and accountability. Can you speak further on what your thoughts are about making that happen and making government more responsive through those means?
So remember when I was telling you that we have to do cost-benefit analysis, we have to do analysis in all the programs. We haven't done that for a long time. And I think a lot of what's happening is a fixer-upper and a little safety Band-Aid, right? Instead of fixing the issue. So accountability, for example, what I'm doing right now with Howard University, and I'm going to be doing also with UCLA, the School of Public Health, is that we're going to be monitoring the air, and we're going to do a small micro level of health impacts. And then with the monitoring of the air, because our government agencies really believe that what they have in place that is grabbing all this pollution, that they are valid, but we don't have a check and balance to see if that's true, right? So that's where we need to start. Then you make the agencies accountable. Then once you make the agencies accountable, there's nothing else but also through the people with their own information at a grassroots level, make also government accountable, make also polluters accountable, right? That's just like an example that I can give you. But we can do that with every agency, with every politician. We can tell them, look, you got to do an evaluation on the policies that you have created that are in place. Tell us where they are right now. But don't wait until somebody goes and does a research and comes back 2 years after. Go with the people. And how the people will participate, don't underestimate also the value and the time of the people. That people needs to be compensated for their time and well taken care of, and also value their level of knowledge. Because they possess more knowledge than the politician that is up there in Sacramento.
What are the final thoughts you want to leave voters with as they choose their candidate?
Okay, so the final thought is that I am running because I asked if I was ready to run. I'm running because I see a lot of injustices. I'm running because I see a system that is not working for the majority. I'm running because I see interests for people that are creating revenue and pocketing the money regardless of one person's life. I am running because I also asked God, and God opened the door. I stepped in, and I'm here. I'm answering a calling, and I love people. I empathize with people automatically. It's something that I have, and I truly believe that I can create that change. And it's going to be with us. It's not going to be just me. It's not Magali running on her own. I'm running with a lot of people. It's, we're doing it with, as you see, well, I don't know if you know, but I don't have that much money. But I do have an army with me. So that's why I'm running. And I hope that people will vote for me. And whatever happens, we already won.
I know that's right. All right, that concludes our interview. Thank you for joining us on this afternoon.
No, thank you. Thank you for inviting me and having me here.
All right.